Yogeshwar.
Rudraditya vasavo ye cha sadhya Vishveshvinau marutaschoshmapascha Gandharva yaksha surasiddha sangha Vikshante tvam vismitaschaiva sarve. So all the devas, all those who represent you, who have been told by you in chapter 10, name it Rudras, Vasus, Ashwinas, Maruta, Ushmapa, all of them. Yeah. So the representatives of you, as have been said in chapter 10, those are fine. But even each and every group that they represent, each of them, meaning the beings themselves, everything in this world, they are seeing you, they are looking at you. And when they look at you, there is just nothing they can do. They're just full of amazement. They are astonished. Like when they're looking at you, they can't see anything else. You know, when you get astonished, it's not just about the astonishment or the amazement, but it's like you get so involved into it that nothing else matters now. It is only that that matters, that has amazed you, amazed the whole being of you. And everything else is there, like the whole world is there. Everything else will be there in its own rightful place. But for you, it is only that one that matters. You're so immersed into it. Now, Arjuna is having this experience. And he is saying that all these beings that you've been talking about, all through chapter 10, and then even in chapter 11, when in verse 6, you said that, look at all these Adityas, these Vasus, these Rudras in me. Yeah. Look at all those in me. I have seen them, yes. Yeah, as he says in 15, in verse 15, that Pashyami Devans Tava Deva Dehe. Yeah? I've seen all of them in you now. But now what I am experiencing is this, that in verse 21, they are constantly singing your praise. There's nothing else they can do. It is an automatic thing. Like when you get such an experience, when you come across such an experience, then there's nothing else that is that matters to you. It's only that one experience, that one immersive experience that matters. And then in verse 22, is saying that when they're looking at you, Vismita, they're just astonished. They can't. And when they're looking at you, whether they're standing, they just stay standing. If they're seated, they just stay seated. They just, wherever they have found you, they just stay as they are, astonished, eyes open, and the whole being of them is just immersed into you. Now, it is about this experience that Arjuna himself is having, and he's looking at all beings having such an experience. When they have such an experience, like vikshante tvam, when they have such an experience, then they are also astonished. That I can see. And when you only read about an emotion like maybe love, yeah, when you only read about it, it's fine. Like Sometimes you may also feel like, why do people give their lives just for an emotion? Why do people do such weird things? It's just an emotion. But when you get into it, is when you realize that what they are experiencing is totally different. It can't be captured just by logic. It can only be captured by being immersed into the emotion. So love as an emotion is just an example to show how this can be captured, like, because everything else does is in its own rightful place, but what matters to the person is what is being said here. So Arjuna is also having the same experience and is saying, all those who may have had this experience before me or will have this experience after me, all of them, I can see what they will experience or what they have experienced already. And that is Vismita. They were all just astonished by what they're seeing.
Can you talk a little bit about the word Vismita, the roots of the
Yes.
word?
So, smita is the verb itself, like the root is smita. Then V is put in front of it, meaning Visheshena smita. Now, smita normally, if it's just literally translated, it means like a smile. And then Vismita means Visheshena, meaning that there is something above it, like not just being happy, but above it, like you're just purely amazed by it. You're just purely, you're, you're there, you are happy, but it's like you're more than happy even.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out to everybody how beautiful these words are. See the connection between, because it is translated as astonished, but the actual root of it is smile. It is a smile of, you begin to smile and you're smiling at something that, makes you so amazed and makes you so happy that it is astonished. So it is like the connection between smile and the maximum possible thing you can smile at, and that emotion as being equivalent to astonishment, because it's an astonishment of a certain kind. That, like, when Naneshwar talks about this, it's like when you look at the core of your being, you are just so engrossed by it that you cannot actually look at anything else. It's like, that's the sun. What else is there to look at? Where else is the light? So it's that kind of a thing. Please go on, Yogesh.
Rupam mahate bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahubahu rupadam bahudaram bahudanshtra karalam drishtva loka pravyathitas tathaham. It has already been said or talked about that I am, when Arjuna is looking at Krishna, is looking at the core of being, is looking at that unmanifest that holds all the manifest. It is the base of all the manifest. And that, when you get to the unmanifest, one way to look at it is that it is so, like, subtle that you can't put your hand into it, like you can't pick it out. It is so subtle that you can't even look at it with your bare eyes. So one description is that, into the subtleness. And then another description is given in this verse is Rupam Mahatte. When I'm looking at you, it is the greatest of all. It is like the biggest, the largest of all. So Mahat, meaning the largest. And how large? It is just so large that Vyaktananam, it's like you are so large that you're omnipresent. Yeah. So both descriptions, you can see them. And sometimes in these metaphors, yeah, two different schools may evolve just out of Gita, totally different. Like one will say the ultimate is so subtle that you can't, like, they'll have their descriptions about subtleness. And then another school will come with the description of the greatness and how large the ultimate is, the unmanifest is. So all these descriptions, in a way, they are all right according to the viewer's perspective, according to the person who has had the experience. And when you're having that experience, you also have an experience with this paradox in itself. You never have one experience as it is. Like, as we have already looked at it, Arjuna had the experience of love from the start, like from verse 15, it was of love. And then as it came to verse 19, verse 20, then it started being like, is Arjuna feeling a bit of fear? Because he's also describing that. So it's really hard to describe that experience. It is like a combination of everything, not only of love and fear. Like, those are the two contrasts. That's why we can see them clearly. But when you're looking at everything in that, and all the experiences that you've had so far are just a minute to that experience. And that's why you can't really describe the experience. What you're going to describe the experience with are the words or the experiences that you've had before, because you've not had such an experience before. So you're going to use the experiences you've had before to look at this experience, to describe this experience. And then there will be these different words you'll use: love and fear. I'm experiencing both of them. Greatness and subtleness. I'm experiencing both of them in you. And the whole is the truth, not only one part. When you experience both in the ultimate, then you know, I've found the ultimate. Bahu vaktra netram, mahabaho bahu bahu rupadam. So here now, it's even more like, because before it has been described like aneka bahu dara vaktra netram. It's been described in verse 16, 17, 18. Like, I can see you, you're omnipresent, you have all these arms and you have all these faces. But now it is another type of description here, because at the end of the verse, Arjuna is saying, Drishtva loka pravyathitas tathaham. In the first description, we saw that Arjuna is experiencing all this with love, with all the love that the ultimate has, unconditional. And here, as we have seen from verse 19 onwards, there is an element of fear. So that is being described here. Pravyathita. I am looking at all of them. Bahunetra. Like, there's so many eyes that you have. You have so many arms. Yeah. You have so many thighs. You have so many legs. So many feet. I don't know how to describe you. And then Bahudaram. Like, well, we can think about somebody having two, like more than two arms, maybe. Yeah. How do you think of someone having more than 2 stomachs, like 2 abdomens? Like, really? Somebody? Like, maybe arms can be attached. Like, how can you attach an abdomen? It's totally out of even what we can think about. And then Arjuna is saying, Bahudanshra Karalam. So I can also see all those teeth that you have. And they're not just as I have been seeing them, but Danshra Karalam. They're not normal teeth here. What Arjuna is talking about are such teeth that they are like, the fierce teeth, not teeth of a herbivorous animal, but teeth of an carnivorous animal. So such fierce teeth I can see within you. And because of that, after seeing what you are, after seeing the unmanifest that you are, after seeing the ultimate that you are, Pravyatita, who is like Pravyatita has been used before as well, like in chapter 1, where Arjuna is saying that, oh, I can't even hold my dhanush, I can't even hold my bow in my hands. So in that way, I like my whole body is shaking of fear, of confusion. I don't know what to do. And here, Arjuna is using the same words here, but totally a different experience. All we can do is think about that experience, like totally different. Pravyatita here is meaning that you're looking at the ultimate. One thing is you've never experienced it before. So you also get scared as well. Is this the truth? And it has been in front of me and I've never looked at it. I've never seen it in front of me. How does that happen? And that truth is so grand an event. When it happens in front of you, even a person like Arjuna, who is not scared of anyone in front of him, and he has won so many battles. He is a Kshatriya, a warrior. And such a person is saying, Pravyatita, aham, pravyatita stathaham. Even me, like the world is having that experience, that's fine. Even me, tatha aham, yeah, I am also having that experience. So in that way, Arjuna is saying, however great you are in the material world, doesn't matter. When you have that experience, you're going to be blown away by it. It's like when the ground is taken away from below your feet, you feel like, am I going to be able to like have my balance or what? It's like that. And one example that usually given in this is, we're normally, if normally a parrot would sit on a tree upright, yeah, and will look at the sky and think about flying to the sky. But think about a parrot that has always seen, has always been upside down like an owl, yeah, and is always looking at the ground. And if such a parrot is there, then whenever he looks at the ground, he will cling to that branch so much, because what he's seeing is, if I leave the branch, I'm going to fall down. And then such a grand event happens, yeah, that that branch is taken away from his cling, from the parrot's cling. The parrot will be so scared. But what happens after being scared? He will be able to fly. That is the great thing. So being scared about such a grand event is not a bad thing. It is also part of the experience. As you go to the boundary between the manifest and the unmanifest, because we are so identified with the manifest, we normally, when we get to such a truth about the unmanifest, even the greatest of people, they have an experience that all my identity that I've been holding to has been taken away from me. Because the ultimate is in front of you. Now your identity has totally changed. You're not the manifest, you are the unmanifest as well. That's what you've realized. So when your identity is taken away from you, there is a sort of scaredness. Like at first, that boundary, when you're trying to get your foot past the boundary, at that time, you'll feel all that fear. You'll feel all these different types of emotions. You'll have the emotion of love because the other side is calling upon you, like, oh, yes, I'm getting to the unmanifest. And then you'll have this fear as well, whereby you're losing your identity that you've been holding to since the time you know. And all those emotions, they come together when you're having such a grand experience. Nabhasprishamdiptamanekavarnam vyattananam diptavishalanetram drishtva hi tvam pravyathitantaratma dhritim nalavandami shamam cha Vishnu. So not only that you have so many arms, so many faces, and fierce teeth, so many abdomens, but as well, Nabhasprisham, I can see you, like you are on this earth, but what you are touching the skies. That is your greatness. Deeptam Aneka Varnam. You're so colorful and you're delightful as well. You're full of light. And that light is not just one ray of light, but it's just a colorful way. And when we look at that, we normally feel that, oh, the ultimate should be one thing. Why is it being described? It is this as well. Then it's also lightful. It's like it's full of light. And then so many colors of light within it. Why such a description? It is the experience that you're having. It brings up all these descriptions, different types of descriptions. And it's like, when you have an experience is when all the words that you've known about the experience come into play. Before that, you're only thinking about the words. You can't really grasp this experience. But when you get to the experience, all the words automatically make sense. Vyattananam dipta vishala netram. You are omnipresent. Vyattananam. There is no place that you are not. You are everywhere. And then your eyes are also so radiant with light. And not only radiant with light, but they're so large, like Vishala. Now, when Arjuna is describing this, know the emotion that is having. It is an emotion of fear, because it's from verse 19 onwards. So in this verse as well, he's saying that Drishtva hi tvam pravyathitantaratma. He's using the word again, like I can't describe it more. I can't find another word to describe it. What I can say is, I am scared. What should I do? Dhritim na vindami shamam cha Vishnu. Yeah? I cannot find a place to stay. Like Dhriti, I cannot find a place to hold on to. And that is so true about that experience, because What is happening to you is from that identity of the droplet, you're getting the identity of the sea, of the ocean. When you get the identity of the ocean, there's no place to hold on to. It's the full identity is yours. And when you are a drop, to remain a drop, you have to cling to something so that you don't fall into the ocean. And normally, what happens is we are doing that. We are scared of falling into the ocean. But the real thing is, if we leave ourselves free, our swabhava is just to fall into the ocean, become one with it. And even right now, if we can just leave ourselves, leave our identity, and fall into the ocean and become one with the ocean, then our identity will totally change. We shall be able to come to a new experience of life, a new way of seeing the ultimate, a new way of seeing everything. Because now the center will describe the peripheral, not the peripheral describing the center. And that is totally opposite. And now you're going to use the experience to say some words about your experience, not using words to get to the experience. Totally different. I'm not saying that you should not use words to get to the experience. It is a way of getting to the experience. But when you get there, when you get to the experience, then the words that you're going to use are going to be totally different. They're going to come from the core of your heart. They're going to come from within, like, this is it, I know it, because I've seen it. Not because I've read it somewhere or because somebody else said it, but because I have seen it, because I've also had that experience. Dhritim na vindami shamam cha Vishnu. And Arjuna uses he's calling upon Krishna with this word, Vishnu. Vishnu meaning that you are, if we take the literal meaning of Vishnu, like Vish is the verb, the root verb, and then there is Ishnuch dhatu, Ishnuch pratyay, sorry, that is put after it. So what that means is one who is omnipresent, who is everywhere. There's no place that he is not. So that's the literal translation of Vishnu using the verb. And then he's meaning that as well, whereby you're everywhere, because he has already said Vyattananam, Dipta Vishala Netram, you're everywhere, Nabhasprisham, you're touching the skies. And he's also meaning that you are what sustains. You are what I can cling on to, because how can you cling upon birth? It's just something that happens one time and goes away. How can you cling to death? It just happens one time and goes away. What is life? What is sustenance? So he's calling upon Krishna and saying this word Vishnu. So I am not able to get any ground on myself. Give me ground. You are the sustainer. You are the one who can give me some ground to hold on to. You are the one who can take me towards the ultimate here. Danshrakaralani chate mukhani दृष्ट्वैव कालानलसन्निभानि दिशो न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास Danshrakaralani chate mukhani. Now, mukha means your mouth. Yeah. And if it is using singular, it would have been mukham. When you're using plural, more than two, then it's mukhani. So Arjuna is saying, not only one mouth that I'm seeing, but so many mouths I'm seeing. And how are they? Danshtra karalani. They are. They are full of this fierce teeth. And when I am looking at it, what am I seeing? Drishtraiva kala nala sannibhani. It is sannibhani, meaning it is like it. Yeah? Sannibhani means like it. And like what? Kala anala. It is like the fire of death. When I'm looking at your teeth, they are just like this great fire. And that fire represents death. And as you're going to see ahead, verse 26, 27, now Arjuna is going from love, from fear, now towards death, slowly by slowly. Like he's having all these experiences, life as an experience, love as an experience, fear as an experience, then as well is going to have death as an experience. And that death is going to say that even I am dying in a way. I can see myself here. And you are that kills everyone. I can see that. So viewing the ultimate as everything, starting from birth, sustenance, until death, is the experience Arjuna is having. Viewing the ultimate in all the emotions, whether it's love, fear, everything, is what Arjuna is getting to know. Disho na jane, na labhe cha sharma. I cannot even know which direction I'm looking in, because wherever I'm looking, I can only see you. There's only you everywhere. And then na labhe cha sharma. I'm also not getting that subtle ground to hold on to, that sharma. Yeah, like I cannot be at peace with myself right now. There is this different kind of that I am living this identity that that I've been holding all this time. And then when you're giving me a new identity right now, I am a bit scared here. I'm not finding peace. So when Arjuna is saying all this, he is looking at his past self, his past experiences, and is looking ahead as well. And is saying, Prasida Devesha Jagan Nivasa. I am having this experience at this boundary line, whereby I'm seeing the past and looking at the past, I am so scared, I'm losing it. And now what I want you to do is Prasida Devesha Jagan Nivasa. I want you to shower all your love onto me. I want you to give the best to me, give a new identity to me. Show me who you are truly, fully, not only at the boundary line. Show me, I want to now immerse into you. I've come, like the drop has come to the boundary line of the ocean. It's just so near to getting one with the ocean. Now Arjuna is saying that just allow me to be immersed into you. And who are you? Devesha. You are the greatest of all devas. Jagan Nivasa. You stay in each and every part of this world. There's no place you are not. And if there's no place you are not, then even in me you are. even in yourself you are. So I am going to use words to talk to you, but what I'm actually saying is just allow me to be immersed within you, just to get a new identity, to get to the core of the center, become one with the ultimate.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Yogeshwar. So folks, any questions or comments, go ahead and type exclamation mark. I want to start off with one question. Up until this chapter, Arjuna is just full of love for Krishna. And he has asked him to say, okay, now show me what you really are. Perceptually, I want to see. What, if you wanted to say, why, what is the root of the fear? This new fear. We don't see the fear of Krishna at all up to this point. And suddenly there is this very intense fear. What is the root of that fear?
Yes, so what Arjuna is fearing is when he's looking at Krishna, yeah, he's seeing the ultimate, and he's seeing that Krishna is the ultimate, he's one with the ultimate. If I want to experience who Krishna is, because Krishna is showing himself to me, if I want to experience who Krishna is, I have to change my own identity. I have to leave all the notions that I've had since. I have to completely, like, for example, even a transition of an experience in life. For example, when you're rich and then you lose that identity of becoming rich, and then you're deprived of all your wealth. Just even that experience, even a worldly material experience, when you lose all your riches and you become poor, living with that new identity is hard at first. It's like, it's really hard when it's starting, but when it goes on, you get used to having that new identity. It's fine with having that new identity. Yeah. But there, what happens is when you get the new identity of becoming poor, you're always thinking about how to become rich again. Here, it's different. What happens here is because you're at the boundary of losing your identity, you're thinking about the past and you're thinking about like what the notions you've held from the past. And then you're also looking at those that what you're going to get ahead. So, you know, when you change your identity in this way, you become one with the ultimate in this way. When that happens, this identity will totally, you'll not want it. It's not like the other identity, like you'll want to become rich again. It's being one with the center. You'll not want to become one with the peripheral again. But at the boundary, you are fearful because that experience, you're changing your identity. And normally we so much cling to our identity, it's really hard to change it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next up is David, Joe, and Evanik. David, go ahead.
Yes, thanks. As we discussed before, there's so much context and background about India and in all these stanzas of the Gita. And so I'm really curious, specifically in these verses, what exactly is, I mean, what would in India, especially at that time of the audience for the Gita, understand from all of this description of bodies and body parts and faces and eyes and manifold legs and manifold stomachs and teeth? Why, I mean, what is the additional context that somebody in India would understand? Is this animalistic? Is this specific gods of the time? I mean, why these specific imagery?
Yes, so one thing we need to understand in Indian culture, as normally, what you'd know is in any place you go, they also, like you'll see images of Krishna who is holding a flute in his hand. You'll also see images of Rama who is holding a bow and arrow in his arms. And then you'll also see in other places the images of Devi who has so many hands. Yeah, so many, not like there will be even more than 8 arms. And then the teeth are just full of blood. And even that, it may not really catch the mind of a Western mind in that way, but for India, that is really important. Like it captures something. When you're bowing down to such a Devi, you are also accepting the fact that whatever I can think about, yeah, fierceness as well, even such fierceness that may relate to a Devi who is holding so many different weapons in her hands, yeah, and whose mouth is full of blood and fierce teeth. Her hair is all around, and such a fierce, not only the greatness or the love that I'm getting, but even everything like the fierceness that is coming from there. If I'm getting that as well, it's part of the ultimate. It's not away. And then, as per your question, like what do the many arms, what do the many faces mean? Here, in India, what that brings onto is when you say so many faces, so many arms, so many legs, it's like it represents the work you can do. Like so many ears, meaning that you can hear so much. Like there's that power you have, immense power. Even the subtlest of noise you can hear. That is so many ears. When you're saying so many arms, you're saying that that person can really do work. Like he can multitask, basically. So in that context, the ultimate is that as well. Like everything that is being done. And you'll normally see that when you see such a person who can multitask so well, who can hear even the subtlest of noises, you feel that, yes, he has something. He has some power, like not superficial power, but he has some strength, some talent within himself. And in that way as well, when you're looking at the ultimate now, you're going to want to put all that you've experienced from before. If you're experiencing it in the ultimate, whether it is somebody like Arjuna, who is known for his one-pointed concentration, he'll see that as well. And whether you see somebody who can multitask at the same time, you'll see that in the ultimate. So all those contexts, in a way, whether it's fierceness or whether it is that talent that you see, all is being brought out by this.
Wonderful, thank you. That's great question, David. So I want to add a couple of things to what Yogeshwar said. One part of it is that it is trying to show the power, show the reach of it. So it's like it's all light. It has eyes everywhere, so it can see everything. So it's a way of capturing everything in a concrete way. And this is highly cultural. The way in which, for example, Egyptian mythology will capture it is going to be slightly different. The way in which Japanese mythology captures some of these things is different. So that's one part. The second part, which I see here, especially in these versus is to show the destructive capacity. Because when people initially, they focus on the love and the sustaining capacity, now, in order to understand everything, understand the Brahma, you have to understand that it has tremendous destructive capacity. And that is being shown too. And I think that is one of the things that is causing the fear in Arjun, because because what happens is that Krishna is his friend. He loves Krishna. And Krishna is Brahma. And Brahma has that destructive capacity. And he's saying, now show me, when you're seeing Brahma, you're seeing the destructive capacity. And that destructive capacity is being dramatized as well. So it is both trying to capture in perceptual terms this all pervadingness of Brahma. And secondly, it is trying to emphasize, especially in these parts, the destructive capacity. Next up is going to be Joe, followed by Evanik. Folks, go ahead and type exclamation mark if you have any comments or questions. Joe.
You've pretty much kind of already answered my question, but maybe just go a little bit more into depth, because this idea that that Arjuna is happy and or excited or smiling, if we will, at one moment, but then all of a sudden this idea of fear comes in, is introduced. I'm struggling to see. I kind of understand the experience of everything and needing to experience everything to understand the whole, but specifically by understanding fear, you kind of already answered this, but if you could maybe go into a little bit more detail as to what specifically fear brings Arjuna, as far as him seeing the center a little bit better. I know you've already answered this, so you don't have to spend much time going into detail, but just so anyway, that was kind of my question.
Go ahead, Yogeshwar.
Yes, so because Arjuna has always seen love within Krishna as a friend. Now, the first time he's seeing fear when looking at Krishna. So when you look at somebody, you've been looking at them for all your life. Yeah? And then one time you see fear within them. It is astonishing to you, first thing. And you'll want to describe it with the greatest of detail, not leaving any detail out, because this is the first time such a thing has happened. This is the first time he's experiencing fear when looking at Krishna. And that has never happened. He will always experience energy, full of life, love within Krishna. Now, what Arjuna here is describing is this experience I'm having. I have known you like this for all my life. But now what I'm describing here is something I'm seeing for the first time, and maybe I'll never see it again. Maybe, because when you know the ultimate, now what is going to happen is Arjuna is changing himself totally. He's now going to have a new identity, everything within himself. Like outside he'll be the same, within he's totally changed. So now what is going to happen is Arjuna is saying that I may not have such an experience of the boundary again, because this experience is at the boundary line of that jump. And he's describing it with great detail, so that as well, there's also one other aspect to it, whereby, because Arjuna is saying that having such an experience in Krishna, if somebody sees this in Krishna, then you'll be able to take a leap forward. If I describe this experience and say that I can move forward, then also others who are coming after will be able to have that experience with acceptance, not with rejection. So that acceptance is also needed. Normally, when Krishna is there and he's allowing you to have that experience, you will normally have the acceptance. But now, as we are, yeah, when we are having such an experience alone, maybe, let's say, if we do not accept that experience, then we're going to go back into our normal identity. We're going to run backwards instead of going forwards. So this description that is given here of this experience, one, it is a true experience which Arjuna's had. Another point is that so that anyone behind, like who is going to have the same experience after Arjuna, when being with Krishna or even after Krishna, when reading the Gita, in his own life, when his identity is changing, when he's having this experience, he doesn't go back to his normal life where he will be fine with everything, but let him accept this experience and move forward into the unknown.
Wonderful. So I want to highlight one thing. You know, what I said about the fear part was true, but it is much more surface level. Because what I was saying was that it is you're seeing the destructive power. But what Yogeshwar is talking about is actually much more fundamental. And it is the deepest of the fears. Because it is like, I mean, the Gita uses this, Dhaneshwar uses this. It's like you think of yourself as salt, and suddenly you're confronted with this ocean, okay? You were sitting quietly on the beach, admiring the ocean from a distance, okay? With your identity completely safe, you like the ocean, okay? You love the ocean. Now, suddenly you find yourself, you ask the ocean, show me what the ocean is, okay? And the ocean came to you, okay? That's what has happened. And your identity is being dissolved as you see this magnificent oceanness of the ocean in all its manifestations. So not only it's the experience of seeing something, but it is the dissolving of your entire identity. Because the principle here is Tattvamasi. You are that. So it is a complete reworking and holding on to that like a parrot, right? In the story that Yogeshwar talked about. That is the fear that, okay, if I let go of it, I will fall down. So that's what it is. So thank you, Yogeshwar, for bringing that up. That was fantastic point. Next up is Evanik.
So when I was listening to the readings and to Yogeshwar, and even the conversation that we're having now, I always think of it as transformation. And transformation is kind of like letting a part of yourself die off. And I think that's where the fear comes in, right? Is because a part of you is dying. So it's not going to be pleasant. You know, it's you're losing a part of who you are. And I think that's the fear. And I think it's the experience is how you get to the transformation. You have an experience and that experience transforms you. And in a sense, it is a part of like, will you allowing it to happen and not resisting it? But also it's automatically going to happen whether you want it to or not. So I just think of it as that. And like when you said fear is like holding on to your identity that you used to know, you're holding on to that. And I think you're holding on your identity. I think, especially when you're younger, is formed by influences like your parents, your family, your friends. When you take that next step into transformation, I think, and this is kind of what Arjuna is going through, that part is going away. You're letting that part of you go, and you're taking on this new transformation, that means you're taking on your own identity based off of your center, based off of who you are. And I think that's what Arjuna is seeing. And, I remember when I first read chapter 11 in this transformation, and I'm like, that, like, even listening to it is just overwhelming. So and then, like, I just imagine Arjun seeing it and it surrounding him. Like, it's not just like, I think sometimes we think of things as three-dimensional, where I'm looking at you and you're talking. This is like surrounding him. Like, when he asked to see with the eyes of Krishna, he got the whole experience. So I could definitely see the fear, and I could see how that would be loving and exciting and overwhelming in fear. And if fear is not a bad thing in this instance, because it's just a natural emotion that would come up. And you just kind of like have to let that happen. Like, sometimes we say you shouldn't fear things, but in reality, that's just a natural emotion. And sometimes you just have to let that fear, that emotional part of fear, just happen. You don't have to do anything with it, but you just have to accept that it's there instead of trying to resist that it's there. So that's what I got out of it.
Wonderful, beautifully put. Thank you, Avani.
Yeah.
Go
One
ahead.
thing I would like to say. Yeah. One thing I would like to say is so transformation or losing a part of you. Now here, it's not only about losing a part of you, like I described in richness and becoming poor, because your family is there, your education, you have it. So everything is there. You're only losing a part of yourself. Here it is losing yourself completely, not only one part, or not just transformation in one way, like transformation, like maybe in life, having a one-time experience in life. It's not that at all. It is like from the root of yourself, you're just cutting everything out, all the identity that you've had. And now you're going to, it's like you're not going to have a new identity. That's how I would like to put it. You're not going to have a new identity now. You're just going to lose all your identities and just become one with the ocean. That's it. So when we even think about transformation in our lives or losing a part of ourselves, it's scary. Now, just imagine losing yourself, not a part of yourself.
Thank you. Next up is Joe.
So I guess losing yourself completely allows you to look at the periphery from the center. That's essentially the example that you provided a little bit earlier. That's what you're talking about when you mention transformation. It's not just part. An example, I really like the example that you used. It's like, okay, you had wealth, then you lost it. You still haven't lost yourself completely, but this is like a real full, kind of you're changing the way that you view the world completely, correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, but now you see what is going to happen is you're not also going to have another notion of the world. It's like normally when we talk about looking at the world with different eyes or with a different concept. Now, what here it is you're going to lose all the concepts that you have. You're also not going to build another concept. You're just going to lose all the concepts. Just look at the world as it is.
Let me add one thing. I want to follow up on what something that Avani said, that this is an experience. It's like a very deep experience of the core that completely transforms you. So it's the experience doing the transformation. So everything that you had was before you had this experience of the ultimate, and everything afterwards is going to be afterwards. So it's like, it's that which is that experience of the ultimate itself that is doing the transformation. Does that what do you think, Yogeshwar?
Yes, it is that experience. But after that experience, it's not like you'll go you will go have that experience one time and then go back to normal life. It's like, normally, if that was the case, it will be easy to have that experience, to accept the experience. But now where the problem comes in, when you have that experience even once, you're never going back to your normal life. It's totally changing.
Wonderful. Next up is going to be Ambika, followed by Penny. Ambika, go ahead.
Hi, I didn't put an exclamation mark, but that question is it that losing yourself, is it more than that? Is it dissolution of all yourselves and all attachments thereof? Wherein arises this real, again, if I start qualifying, it kind of changes this beingness of omniscience and omnipresence.
Go ahead, Yogesh.
When you lose yourself, it's like, when you have yourself, then there is an attachment. When you have yourself, there is a desire that you're clinging to. Or when you have yourself, then there's something you're going to hold on to. When you lose yourself, everything else is a given. It's just going to dissolve. Like, it's not going to be there anymore. That experience now, not only losing all your attachments or desires, that's also sometimes easy, like to give up one desire for another. Like, you've lost a desire or you've lost an attachment for another, that's fine. But now losing all attachments here, meaning also losing yourself as well. Now that's great, like blowing everything out of the way.
Thank you. Next up is Penny.
I know we've been talking about this a lot, but of course, in all up to this point, we've seen all the different yogas and the ways that they try to get you toward your core, to drop attachments and stuff. Is this basically like an example of what everybody would go through something like this once they reach that point where they would reach enlightenment?
Yes, so I also made this point before that after Arjuna, whoever has such an experience should be able to accept it after reading the Gita. So why it is written down is because of this. Normally, when we have a new experience, we would like to know whether it is authentic or we're just having a delusion. Would like to know whether somebody else has also had such an experience, or it is just like you're seeing a dead loved one. It's just a delusion, it's an illusion, like that can never happen. So these things need to be written down so that there is a great acceptance for it. There is a great, because normally anything fearful, you'll run away from it. Now here, what is being said here is you will see fear in front of you. Go ahead, go past it. Don't run away from it. And that's why it is written down. So everyone who reaches enlightenment in a different way, not in the same way as Arjuna had, but in a different way, in a slightly different mode, in a slightly different state, you will have such an experience. It's like not everyone has the same experience of love. Yeah, you'll see similar descriptions just around the same base, but not everyone is having the same experience at the same time. But there is an experience called love. So in the same way, this experience is there. How you look at it may differ by your view. And why I'm saying your view here is because you're at the boundary of losing your identity. So your view is still there. You've not yet lost your identity. And that's why fear catches you. So your view at that time is also important. And everyone goes through this experience. Just the view that they have about the world or the view about the ultimate that they have is all different. So they will describe it differently.
Wonderful. Thank you. Shall we continue to 26 to 31? And Yogeshwar, you need to leave at 10:45, right?
Let's see. I'll just be gone for maybe 5 minutes. Because I have to ask whether, because today it is like either or.
Okay.
So maybe I'll come back after like 5 minutes,
Sounds
or
good.
I'll
What
just
we'll
leave.
do- Yeah. What we'll do is that we will start off, we'll read in English 26 to 31. You go as far as you want, and then you take a break, and then either you come back or not, whatever it is. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's start with Penny. Could you read first from 26 to 31, and then Ambika? Penny, go ahead.
Okay. Dhritarashtra's offspring, many a monarch, Bhishma, Drona, and the son of Karna, there they go, with our own warriors also, hurrying to your jaws, wide-fanged and hideous. See what mangled heads lie crushed between them. Swift as many rivers streaming to the ocean, rush the heroes to their fiery gullets. Moth-like, to meet the flame of their destruction, headlong these plunge into you and perish. Licking with your burning tongues, devouring all the worlds, you probe the heights of heaven with intolerable beams, O Vishnu. Tell me who you are and were from the beginning, you of aspect grim, O God of gods, be gracious. Take my homage, Lord. From me, your ways are hidden.
Thank you. Next up is going to be Ambika.
All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with the companies of the kings and captains, Bhishma, Drona, as well as that Karna, Sutaputra, along with also our chief warrior heroes, unto the unto thee rush in haste and enter into thy mouths that are frightful with terrific tusks. Some of them are seen with crushed heads, caught and stuck in the gaps between thy teeth. As the waters of rivers rushing with speed course and flow unto the ocean, so do those heroes of the world of men enter into thy flaming mouths. As moths enter into the kindled flame with their increasing speed for self-destruction, so too the nations enter speedily into thy mouths for their destruction. Devouring all, thou, O Vishnu, lickest all the worlds from all ends with thy flaming mouths, filling it with burning energies. Thy fierce lusters heat the entire universe. Declare to me who thou art that wearest this form of fierceness. Salutations to thee, O great Godhead. Turn thy heart. Salutations to thee, O great Godhead. Turn thy heart to grace. I would know who thou art, who wast from the beginning, for I know not the will of thy workings.
Thank you, Ambika. Yogeshwar, go ahead, and you can go as long as you want, and whenever it's time for you to stop, you can just stop. I'll take over. Go ahead.
Fine. Ami cha tvam dhritarashtrasya putra sarve sahaiva vanipal sangai Bhishmo Drona Suta Putras Tathasau Sahasmadiyai Yodha Mukhyaih. So one thing here, Arjuna is listing out all that he could list out, all the people that he's being able to think about. So Dhritarashtrasya Putra, these sons of Dhritarashtra, and all those who are fighting from their side. Then he points out three great individuals that are the main on Dhritarashtra's side. One is Bhishma, second is Drona, and the third is Karna. Not only those that are on Dhritarashtra's son's side, but also those who are on our side, all the greatest warriors on our side as well. What is happening to them? That's going to be said in the next verse, whereby Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti. They are with increased speed. They are entering your mouth. Now, one thing to point out here is he's listed out these people. First saying Dhritarashtrasya putra, meaning the sons of Dhritarashtra. And then he says all those who are fighting by their side. He has already pointed that out. Still, he points these three individuals out from that whole group who is fighting from Dhritarashtra's side. So these three people are really important. Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, who is Sutaputra. Bhishma and Drona have already been talked about in chapter 1 and chapter 2, whereby Arjuna is trying to say, how can I fight these people? These are the greatest of all. Like Bhishma, Arjuna has grown up in the laps of Bhishma, under Bhishma's directions. Arjuna has grown up under the love of Bhishma. And Bhishma is the greatest of warriors in the whole of India at that time. Like if Bhishma stands on one side with a bow and arrow, nobody can dare to be on the other side. Such a great warrior Bhishma is. And another aspect is that of love, that bond of love that Arjuna has with Bhishma. Because Bhishma is Arjun's father, and then Arjun's father is Pandu. So Arjun's father is Pandu, then Dhritarashtra is Pandu's brother. Now, who Bhishma is one of their father's brother, and he announced that he will never sit on the throne because one of them had a fight with him that you will have your son sit on the throne if you won't sit on the throne. So Bhishma again said that I will not sit on the throne, and I will also not have a son who will sit on the throne. There he took his Bhishma Pratigya. That's why he's known as Bhishma, whereby that is one of Brahmacharya, that he will never marry and he will never have a son to sit on the throne after him. So that was in protection of the throne, and he protected the throne with his own life. He gave his whole life to the throne. And in that, he also has immense power and immense love for Arjuna as well. And on the other side, Drona, who is the teacher of Arjuna. He has taught Arjuna each and every vidya, each and every lesson. And at that time, the teacher-student relation was just not of teacher-student. It was like Guru-Shishya. When you talk about Guru-Shishya, it is not just like you go to school and then you just come back. What happens when it's Guru-Shishya, you stay at the place where the teacher is staying, where the Guru is staying. You stay there. You do seva, like you do everything you can do for the Guru, because he's teaching you. You're having all these lessons from him. So in India, there normally it's said that there are 3 types of ways to get any vidya, to get any lessons from anyone. The first type is what we know today, getting vidya with money. Like you give money in exchange for vidya, in exchange for education. The second way is getting education by giving education. That's a mutual thing that normally happens with your friends or with your colleagues at work. So that's what we normally do as well. And in that, you are giving someone some education, or you're telling someone something because you expect them to educate you as well. Like you also expect that from them. The third way is through seva. That is between Guru and Shishya. And seva is not only doing that routine work or doing that routine that the Guru wants you to do, the teacher wants you to do, but it's with all the love that you have. You're showing your Guru all the love and you're getting this vidya. It's like the Guru doesn't want the seva. What the Guru wants is only to impart the knowledge onto you. Why the seva aspect is there? Why you are giving the Guru that is because you respect him. It is not out of the Guru wanting it, but it is out of the Shishya's heart, that if I am getting something from the Guru, I also have a duty to give back to the Guru, to give back to my teacher. And that is the most revered way of getting any type of knowledge, of getting any type of education. If you can get education or knowledge from that perspective, using that, then it is the greatest. And at that time, in the Gurukul tradition, that was the way of getting any type of knowledge. You go to the Gurukul, you stay there, you do seva, and that seva is with utmost love, with utmost worship towards the Guru, with utmost respect towards the Guru. And now, what is happening is you've had all these emotions for the Guru all this time. And now he is the one who is in front of you, and he has a bow and arrow in his hands, and you have to kill him at one point. And you know that you are the only one who is going to kill him. So whether it's Bhishma, Drona, or Karna, like Arjuna knows that I will have to kill them at one point. And Drona is a great, like, because normally the relation we have with the teacher in these days is totally different. It's like you just go to school, get the education, because you've already given the money. You may or may not have respect for the teacher. You may or may not love the teacher. You just go there for the knowledge. But in ancient India, the teacher was given great value. Like the teacher is even more important than the knowledge that he's imparting onto you. Because the knowledge he's imparting onto you, maybe you'll take the words, but you can't take the experience from him. The experience only the teacher can give you. And that's what Arjuna has asked for from Krishna, that give me the experience of all the words that you have said. And the experience, some part of the experience of the material world or dealing with weapons or anything, everything is gotten from Drona. And he is valuing the teacher who is Drona more than even what he has been taught. With all that great respect towards the teacher, Arjuna is saying, I am seeing him. And the fact that he's seeing Drona is so profound in a way, because he has utmost love and utmost respect. And then Sutaputra, who is Karna, at that time, if anyone who is the same age, because Bhishma is already there who can defeat Arjuna, but anyone who is the same age as Arjuna, almost the same age as Arjuna, and can defeat Arjuna, is only one, who is Karna. He has the most skill, like he's the most skilled person of that age on the other side of Arjun's, on the other side of the battle. So Arjuna is also seeing Karna in that way. And then Arjuna is saying, not only them, but also those who are the greatest on our side, they are entering your mouth. They're entering that Kala Nalasan Nibhani, Mukhani of yours. Like they're all moving towards destruction. That I can see.
Thank you, Yogeshwar.